Hi, Ian here with a update video on the Advanced Integration Workshop, just to give you some information about what you can expect and what, whoops, sorry, there we go, what to expect and what we do in the Advanced Integration Workshop. So a lot of you have already, watching this video, have done the basic. 2 amazing days where we learn how to establish and hardwire new subconscious beliefs with the resolution and the new direction balance. And you know that you can also transform stress with the resolution and new direction balance, anything from the past, present, or future. And you can also manifest goals and dreams with the back to the future. These are amazing. And with those processes, you are able to change your life. However, with the Advanced Integration Workshop, you're taking a quantum leap forward in your understanding of PSYCH-K and your mastery over the subconscious mind. In the basic, we're learning one belief at a time, one stressful situation at a time. In the advanced, we're learning how to establish big groups of beliefs and big chunks of subconscious structures and patterns that really are going to create a broad foundational change in all areas of our life with all of the different balances we use. So you really come out of the advanced a whole new and improved version of yourself. And it's just so amazing to see people's faces just light up after they do each of the practice sessions as they experience physically the changes that are happening with these processes. It's just such a blessing to be a part of, to see this happening. But this is what happens. The Advanced Integration Workshop is about just big changes very quickly. So we start by learning the rapport balance. And the rapport balance has 2 parts: verbal rapport and non-verbal rapport. Now, rapport is the basis for all effective communication. So all of us have to communicate with people all the time, and if we want to improve our communication, this is an amazing way to do that. Rapport is really about meeting someone in their reality. If we're in rapport with somebody or a group of people, communication is easy and effortless. If we're not in rapport, something just doesn't seem right. Yeah, we're not congruent in our communication. So we start with the verbal rapport, and this is very interesting for everybody because most of us haven't tested this before, but most of us, when we're speaking, are either visual, auditory, or kinesthetic dominant in the words that we use. And when we're speaking using words that we're not dominant with, we're not in a whole brain state and there's stress created. Even though we may not realize that's happening because we've been doing it our whole life, that's what's happening. And when we're listening to somebody speaking, we are generally dominant in one as well. And so, say for example, where auditory, we have a whole brain state, we find that in visual and kinesthetic words, when someone's speaking to us, we're not in a whole brain state. So it creates a disconnect. Yeah. So you can imagine, say, for example, in a classroom, if you're learning something, the teacher is a communicator that communicates verbally in a visual language, but you're an auditory listener. So you have stress around the visual communication. So you're not connecting with everything that the teacher is saying, and the teacher is not connecting with you. So there's a disconnect. So it's about maximizing the potential of your communication. Yeah. By coming into a whole brain state, both listening and speaking in all of those modalities: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. And this is very powerful and obviously affects all of our communication in life, because we want to be in rapport with most people. I mean, there's some people we don't want to be in rapport with, but we want to be able to break rapport with them and be comfortable with that as well. So as well as verbal rapport, there's non-verbal rapport. So if you're a communicator and you need to communicate with people as well as verbal, most of our communication is non-verbal. So if somebody is in rapport with us, they're matching and they're mirroring us, for a lot of us that can be comfortable. You know, we can be in a whole brain state if somebody's doing that. But if they break rapport with us while we're communicating, we can go out of a whole brain state and cause a lot of stress for us. The non-verbal rapport balance enables us to stay in a whole brain state, whether somebody is in rapport with us or breaking rapport with us. Some of us can also be not in a whole brain state when people are in rapport with us. It's interesting. And then we're going to flip it around. So when somebody is communicating to us, we're going to be able to stay in a whole brain state and check if we're matching and mirroring them, if we're in a whole brain state, and if we're breaking the rapport, if we remain in a whole brain state, and it's very helpful for us to be able to be whole brained in both of those situations. So that's the verbal and non-verbal rapport. Helps us essentially just meet people at where they're at all the time rather than some of the time. Automatically as well. So it's not an effort for us to do that. It just raises the whole level of communication. So that's how we start. The second thing we're going to learn in the advanced is belief points, which are essentially points on the body that define different psychological outputs. It's the first time we're going to do something like this in PSYCH-K. And it's a little bit like the acupuncture points, but each of these points represents a psychological output, and each point has a self-affirming and a self-limiting statement. These belief points are going to allow the subconscious to be able to communicate with us in a far more powerful and detailed way than just strong or weak that normally does with the muscle testing. And we're going to be able to use these belief points over and over again. Just like keys on the piano create lots of different types of music, we're going to be able to use these belief points over and over again to balance different goals and to also transform stress. So this is a really wonderful thing to be able to learn. Normally the way that we balance the belief points is with something called energy focusing. So just like when we focus light and it becomes a laser, we can focus energy, and we're going to learn how to do that in this advanced workshop. We're going to do start the energy focusing with an energy circle, where we're going to show people how to access the frequency, an energy with the frequency of teal, and that energy is what we use in PSYCH-K to balance the belief points. And we've all got access to this all the time. We're going to show people how to access it so you can access it all the time, not just to balance the belief points, but also to be able to focus energy as a standalone whenever you want. So it could be into a part of the body, or it could be for another purpose. But it's really wonderful to be able to have this access to this energy, to be able to focus it. And that's how we normally balance the belief points with energy focusing. And so it's belief points with energy focusing. It's the second thing we learn. Then we're going to learn this wonderful sacred ritual called surrogation. So surrogation allows us to work on someone's subconscious if they're not able to be physically present to do the work. So it could be someone that is disabled. It could be a small child. It could be someone that hasn't been born yet, a child that hasn't been born in utero. It could be a relative on the other side of the world that is maybe not open to the PSYCH-K balances. You can work with them through surrogation. I do surrogation almost every day when I work with people privately around the world. I'll go into surrogation on behalf of the person I'm working with on Skype. I'll do the muscle testing then on their behalf, and I still get them to facilitate to do the balance process, but I'm able then to muscle test on their behalf. It really opens up huge market and potential for me with my PSYCH-K business. You can go into surrogation not just for individuals, but for groups of people, for your business, for the and it's a wonderful thing to be able to do. So really extends your reach with PSYCH-K. This ritual, it's a little bit like a telephone satellite link up. We make a call, goes up to the satellite, goes down to the person's phone on the other side of the world. They have an opportunity to pick up this call or not at the superconscious level of mind, and if they do, it's like an umbrella that we can do all of the PSYCH-K balances under for transformation of stress, for hardwiring of new beliefs. Also, you can work with animals with the surrogation. So that's a really cool thing for a lot of people. So after we've learned surrogation, we learn the core belief balance. This is what a lot of the instructors call 4 years of therapy in one balance. It deals with, it is the first balance that Rob Williams had an intuitive download for. It is 13 pairs of beliefs, self-affirming and self-limiting for each pair, that are ubiquitous and run through every single area of our life. Areas like self-esteem, our relationships, our spirituality, our personal power, but really powerful core beliefs that really affect huge foundational change when we do this balance. This is normally done as a once-off, and the results that people have with this are varied, ongoing, and expand as life continues after they've done this balance. There's 5 steps. The first step is the discovery process and change process, where we go through and discover what our core beliefs are. And of these 13 pairs, quite often we can find that we're not only strong to the self-affirming, but we're also strong to the self-limiting. So it means we've kind of got our foot on the accelerator and foot on the brake in that area of our life. It could be, I expect the best to happen, I expect the worst to happen. We could be strong and strong, which makes it a little hard to move forward. Yeah, we could also find that we're weak to the self-affirming but strong to the self-limiting, which means we're kind of going backwards in life with it, making life very hard. Or we could be weak for the self-limiting and weak for the self-affirming, meaning we've got nothing happening at all. The idea is that we want to come into a strong for the self-affirming, strong for the self-limiting in all of these 13 pairs. And interestingly, when most of us, and in my experience working with people, when most of us go and discover what our core beliefs are, we've got a lot of them that aren't the right way around. And it's amazing what happens when we get them the right way around. It's like foot off the brake and foot on the accelerator in life. And even though we've experienced a lot of success in life, it means that we've worked really hard to make it happen. And wouldn't it be better for life to be just a bit easier? And like all PSYCH-K balances and beliefs, when you have a self-affirming belief, they expand over time. You have cumulative benefits and collateral benefits. So having those cumulative and collateral benefits in these areas of life is very, very cool and very helpful, as opposed to the opposite of that if they're not congruent. So once we've discovered the belief, we use belief points with energy focusing to change them all, to transform them all so they're the right way around. And then we learn how to use also surrogate beliefs. So we can use one of these beliefs to change all of them, which is very cool. Then we do this whole process where we invite assistance from our light body or higher self to help us to make sure that we can internalize all of these beliefs and express them internally as powerfully as possible, and then externally as powerfully as possible. And we use belief points with energy focusing again to make sure we're able to do that and to see if there's any integration process afterwards that needs to be done, or activity afterwards that needs to be done to further cement their effectiveness in our life. It's very comprehensive, and as a result, you have a very comprehensive change. That's the core belief balance. Then we learn the relationship balance, the second of the big balances at the Advanced Integration Workshop. The relationship balance allows us to feel a sense of peace and a sense of calmness in any of our relationships. We're able to start and identify in any relationship we have in life, whether to see if we're in a whole brain state or not in that relationship. PSYCH-K is all about coming into a whole brain state, and you can do this with tests with you and your parents, you and your family, your siblings, husband or a wife. It can be in relationship to you and your business. It can be in relationship to you and the opposite sex. Remember, when we've got surrogation, we can ask somebody else to stand in for any other of those relationships and then effectively go and do a relationship balance with that other party without even them being physically present. It could be with you and yourself. It could be with you and your body. Amazing things happen, and quite often we're disassociated and not in a whole brain state with our own body or with ourselves. And it's so amazing to see what happens when people come into that whole brain state. We start after, if we're not in a whole brain state, we use the belief points and energy focusing to identify what gifts and opportunities each party has to offer the other. Then we balance using energy focusing. Then we have this wonderful individual and mutual bonding process we go to really bring the whole relationship into a whole brain state. Now, people that have been married for many years have often done this balance and said this is even more powerful for them than when they did their wedding vows, which is really great. And even if a relationship is moving apart, it means that rather than, it doesn't necessarily bring it back together, but it means that you can move into the next relationship without the baggage from the old one, which is a really great thing to be able to do. So, and the surrogation gives you the ability to do it with, the opposite sex or the business that you're involved with or a community group that you're involved in. It's just really amazing to be able to then move into these relationships with a whole brain state. You'll have a whole list when you start this to go, I've got a whole list of things that I need to do relationship balance with, and you'll transform all of them with this. So after we do the relationship balance, we'll do the life bonding balance, which is a very personal, very simple balance around transforming the fear of death and trauma of birth. We only have a limited amount of energy in our life, and we don't want to waste any of it worrying about the future of stuff that hasn't happened. Fear of death is a huge stress for a lot of people. And even if we're not consciously aware of it, we can see if we're in a whole brain state or not, and then transform it. We go right through from conception to birth. So if there's been any trauma around birth, we transform that. Birth to now at current point to death, right through our death experience into the afterlife, whatever that is for you, and coming to a complete whole brain state with all of it. And it's just a very special, deeply respectful and personal balance that you'll absolutely love if you sit down and do it. We do that one lying down. There's a huge amount of work being done on the study on the concept of death and the idea of birth, and we use breathing whilst lying down in through the thymus center, out through the hara point, to transform all of these and into a whole brain state, all of these stress and all of these issues that we may have around those two areas. This is a wonderful thing to do. Finally, we do something called the mystery or the surprise balance. I just like to call it the additional balance, which just kind of blows open so many possibilities that you can then have available to you with PSYCH-K. And that wraps up 4 days of solid change processes that you're experiencing the whole day. And you know, I really, if this is something you're interested in, you know, please come and join us, be part of this. Something you need some more information on, just send us an email, and if you want to book a call and have more of a chat about it, happy to do that. If you want to stick with the basic stuff, that's cool too, you know, but hope that gives you a little bit more idea about what to do and what the advanced is all about. And but if you're wanting to come and really experience, become a new version of yourself, definitely recommend it. Last thing on the advanced, we have something called the Divine Integration Retreat, which is not a workshop, it's a retreat where we go away for 3 days and experience a direct, we're doing balances for 3 days just with our higher self and or our spiritual self. This is a wonderful a retreat. It's not a paid workshop, but you need to have done the advanced and the basic to do the Divine Integration Retreat and also the Health and Wellbeing Workshop. So that's just another thought if you're interested in doing those other workshops. Anyway, until then, till next time, have a great day. See you then.